I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
Well, it sucks to be you.
Will you stop? This other piece of garbage is Bobby the Brain Heenan.
The host.
Oh, get a life, would you? You are not the host. This isn't even our show.
What show is it?
Let me check, the Hot Tag Podcast.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, well, no one has.
Well, who hosts it?
I don't know, some guy named Chris.
What's his deal?
Not really sure, well, he likes Shawn Michaels. Oh, will you stop? What's funny about that?
I hope he doesn't lose his smile.
No, stop it. This is serious.
You mean Syracuse.
And welcome to the Hot Tag Podcast.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. I am Christy Francesco. That is George, the Animal Rogers, and we have a fun one for you guys tonight. We're still doing Monday Night Wars, but we're also doing something else that I wanted to run by George. I'm going to let him have the floor, and I'll just comment based on what he's saying, and we'll go back and forth. We won't spend a ton of time because we do have 2 shows to cover. However, I saw this online. I think it was either like a WCW group on Facebook or it was a question from a wrestling account on X. And he asked an interesting question. And I'm paraphrasing here, but basically what he said was, or what he asked is, if you could book WCW post Starrcade 1997 to kind of quote unquote save the company, because it really kind of went downhill after Starrcade 97. Look, WCW was still super red hot in 1998, but you can tell from a creative standpoint that the wheels were starting to come off the bus here. But, the question was and proposed, if you could save WCW post 1997 Starrcade, how would you book the show? How would you book Monday Nitro? And of course, we didn't get the Thunder just yet, but Thunder was coming down the pike. I mean, to me, to save the show, I never would have had Thunder even exist, first and foremost. But so I proposed a question to George, and George wrote a memoir about this thing. But I'm really excited to hear him kind of dive into this. But George, when I proposed a question to you, you said to me at the end of the phone call that, man, I'm going to think about this a lot. And you definitely did. So I'm going to hand the floor over to you here is post 1997 Starrcade. How do you book WCW to pretty much save it?
Well, you called me last night with this, and it was one of those things I started thinking over, and I was like, wait a minute, how would you actually do this and kind of right the ship? Because you came to the idea, why not have DDP win the title in 98, since he was already a mega over babyface, because you also figure on the other channel you're competing with Monday Night Raw as usual, but 1998 it ain't just the average Raw you're going against. You're going after Raw with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the top guy, number one babyface of the 90s, which is saying something because it's really just the last 2 years of it, but he was that fucking over. That's that's kind of the thing. Mm-hmm. And Chris, you always say, he sells so much shit. His stuff is still
he's still top 4, top 5.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's fucking crazy. Unreal. So WCW kind of needs to do something. And again, you need something to compete with Austin. You need compelling TV. Yeah. And in 98, it wasn't there. Mm-hmm. You had the big NWO split. You had NWO Hollywood. You had NWO Wolfpack. You had, it was just too much shit going on. So Chris came to me and how I was thinking, and I started thinking about it. I was almost, I'm going to really think about this and see how this goes. And then the first thing I had to do was I had to Google who was in the NWO at Starrcade.
Right.
Because I can't just go, the Giant, he's not in the NWO at that time. It's no point. Mm-hmm. And I'm also cutting out NWO Japan. So no Masahiro Chono. Fake Stink can stay over in Japan where the fuck he belongs. He's not needed anymore. Any of those little cutoffs do not exist in my universe.
Makes sense.
So at this Starrcade, most of this show goes as planned.
Mm-hmm.
I have Kurt Hennig win the U.S. title at Starrcade and hold on to that for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Sting beats Hogan clean. No Brett, no restarting the match. It's a normal pinfall. None of this hokey shit. It's clean as a bed sheet. Nothing changes from that main event.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't add to it. If Brett's there, like whatever, he can be at ringside. Especially he can put him on commentary. If he can't compete, fine, whatever. But he does not get involved in the match. He does not count the 3. So after Starrcade, Sting is now your new world champion, but Hogan is absent from TV.
Yes.
So I would pull Hogan off TV for a couple weeks. The NWO is kind of in a bit of a disarray. They don't know where Hogan is. So Bischoff assumes control of the NWO at this time just to kind of keep things on the narrow or on the straight and narrow. And
right.
He booked Sting to defend the world title against Randy Savage at Sold Out. So, we don't know where Hulkster is, but you're still going to defend that title against a member of the NWO, and you're going to defend it against Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay. So far, so great.
At Sold Out, Sting beats Savage. The NWO attempts to interfere, but they are chased off by a team that they are currently feuding with at this time, the Steiner brothers, and Bret Hart comes out because he's been seeing the NWO. He doesn't like anything they're doing at this point. He's going to do his best to make sure they're not involved in any of this shenanigans. So the next night after Sold Out, Eric Bischoff announces Hulk Hogan will return next week, and he's going to hold an NWO State of the Union. Now, here's where the fantasy comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan only cuts one type of promo. Or at least 2 types of promos, his heel promo and his face promo. There is not too much discernible between both, just depending on who he's talking to.
Right.
He doesn't change the way he talks. He doesn't change his cadence. He doesn't, he's always got to do Brother Jack Dude. And let me tell you something, and this, that, and the other.
Brother Jack Dude.
So for the sake of fantasy, Hulk Hogan can speak on the mic like a human. Think, as someone who actually can convey a little bit of emotion, not just frenetic energy that can't be contained.
Right.
None of that shit. So the next week, Hogan shows up and he addresses the failures of the NWO and says that he knows how to right the ship and get the NWO back on track. First thing he does, he kicks Randy Savage out of the NWO for losing the Sting and for stealing his title shot rematch. Because honestly, that's something Hogan would do anyway.
Of course.
So it's not too far out. So it's not too far from a possibility. So Savage and Liz out of the NWO, they're gone. Now, also in this time, Eric Bischoff decides he's like, I'm going to make one more announcement here. The NWO requires strength, so there's no need for weakness. Injuries are a sign of weakness. 6, you're fired.
Correct.
So he fires 6 right there. So everything goes according to plan. He goes to WWF, becomes X-Pac and X-Pac Heat. So all of that's still going according to plan because at this point in time, I look it up. He wasn't officially fired by WCW until February of 97. So that works. So timeline-wise, that works. And also before the end of the State of the Union, Hogan makes one more announcement. He kicks out Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton for not keeping up with the standards of the NWO. And he tells the remaining members of the NWO, you are all put on notice. And he challenges Sting to his rightful rematch at Super Brawl. At Super Brawl, Sting beats Hogan, but with like a roll-up to catch him off guard.
Okay.
So Hogan, who is now like beside himself, that he lost to a roll-up, he starts beating the shit out of Vincent, who came down to ringside with him. And then, after he beats up Vincent, he tells him, get out of here. You couldn't help me get the belt. So Vincent, gone. He's out of the NWO. So now at this point, we got a pretty streamlined NWO.
Yes.
We got Hogan, Hall, Nash, Bischoff, Conan, and Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude because they're like 1 and 2. Yeah, you can't one without the other. All right, so also at Super Brawl, the team of Bret Hart and the Steiner brothers beat the Outsiders and Conan, and Kurt Hennig loses the United States title to DDP.
Mm-hmm.
So Super Brawl, not a great event for the NWO. So you can see where this is going to kind of go. Like the cracks are there. Hogan is losing his mind. He doesn't really know what to do.
This is interesting that you have Hogan doing back-to-back clean jobs.
That's why this is called a fantasy book, Chris, because this shit would never happen in fucking real life.
That's true. That's right.
So that's why this is fantasy. You have to expand your mind a little bit.
You're right. You're right.
So on the next night, Hogan runs down the remaining members of the NWO and tells them, we're all supposed to be united and a family, and I'm not feeling that from any of them. Hennig stops what he's doing and tells Hogan, you know what? I don't need this abuse, and I don't need your team. I'm out of here. So he leaves, and Rick Rude goes with him. So Hennig and Rude, boom, they're out of the NWO. Hogan says he's going to beat Bret Hart tonight later and show them how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So later this same night, Bischoff tells the 3 remaining members of the NWO, Hall, Nash, and Conan, that if they don't have their priorities straight, and he fires Scott Hall on like right then and there, and has him escorted out of the building as a warning to the others.
Mm-hmm.
And Conan and Nash and Conan threatened Bischoff to do the same to them, but they end up getting attacked by the Steiner brothers, who they're still feuding with. In the main event, Hogan cheats to beat Bret Hart, and as he's celebrating, he gets low blowed by Bret. Bret goes and grabs a chair, and he's going to take out Hogan, who's cowering in the corner, but Eric Bischoff gets in the ring and stands between them to stop Bret from doing it. And then just as it seems like Bret's going to hit Bischoff, Bret and Eric Bischoff hug in the middle of the ring.
Mm.
And just as that's going on, Hogan's confused. The Steiners come out, and they put the boots to Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
So Nitro ends with Bret, Bischoff, and Steiner standing over a fallen Hogan. This takes Hogan off TV for a while. It gets him out of the way. So the next week after that, Bischoff leads out his new faction of Bret Hart, Rick, and Scott Steiner. He runs down Hogan, tells the fans that Hogan tried to take control away from him, and, quote, that didn't work for him, brother. So he paid top dollar to bring in the best in the world to put Hogan out the pasture. He tells the fans that Hogan abused his creative control and bastardized his vision of the NWO, so he had to kill it and rebuild it from the ashes. And he introduces his new group, which is now called, because they're still feuding with WWE at this time, because they're still the Monday Night Wars, he calls it just simply the Foundation. So you're not using the Hart Foundation, that's copywritten. Foundation is not. So this is Bischoff getting one over again.
Mm-hmm.
Bret gets on the microphone. He brings up Hogan screwing him over in Las Vegas 5 years prior, and now he finally got his revenge. He calls Eric Bischoff a boss he can actually trust,
right,
and tells Sting to keep the title warm for him because he's getting it at Uncensored. So at Uncensored, the Steiners, at this point, they're still tag team champions because at Super Brawl they never end up facing the Outsiders to lose the title, so that doesn't happen. So they're still the tag titles, but they retain the tag titles against the 2 remaining members of the NWO, Nash and Conan, and Bret beats Sting for the title. So now this Foundation now has all of the gold, minus the US and all the other nonsense. So at Spring Stampede, the Foundation beats this newly formed, you basically call it the Wolfpack because it's Nash, Conan, and Sting, just about call themselves a Wolfpack, in a match for all the belts at Spring Stampede, and continue their dominance into the summer, with Bret winning matches against Lex Luger at Slamboree, Randy Savage at Great American Bash, and DDP at Bash at the Beach. The night after Bash at the Beach, Bret says he's beaten every supposedly worthy champion in this company, so he's taking some much needed time off, and he's taking the belt with him, which Bischoff agrees to.
Right.
However, WCW Commissioner J.J. Dillon comes out and says he tells him that he better make sure he's back in time for Road Wild because he'll be defending that title against the man that he took out, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Bret is livid, but he isn't concerned because this time Hogan doesn't have any McMahon in his back pocket.
That's right.
You know that would come up.
Absolutely would.
It would have to.
Yeah.
At Road Wild, the Steiners retained the titles against the newly reunited Outsiders. J.J. Dillon has also reinstated Scott Hall at this point, assuming Scott Hall is clean of his alcohol. Assuming, correct. Once again, fantasy, you have to suspend disbelief. Oh boy. This is interesting. Never mind. I got the WCW live feed from YouTube up on my TV, and Bret's in the ring right now with Roddy Piper, and Hogan's about to win the title from Savage. It's terrible. My shit's better, and I'm not even done yet.
That's right.
But the Steiners retain their tag titles because they get help from the newest member of the foundation, Chris Benoit. So now I've taken Benoit out of the Four Horsemen as well.
Interesting.
Yep. The horse and Brett beats Hogan after Bischoff pays off the ref to ring the bell. So Survivor Series 97 all over again, this time with Brett as the
right.
victor.
Right.
The Horseman reforming still goes as planned, but instead of Chris Benoit in that spot, it's Kurt Hennig, and Rick Rude is the manager of this new Four Horsemen. Arn can go do backstage duties. Don't need him out there. Think about it. Rick Rude is the manager for the Four Horsemen in the 90s. That would have worked.
It absolutely would have worked.
Absolutely would have worked.
I mean, there's no way that does not work at all.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, the Horsemen from the Foundation ends up feuding with the Horsemen, and a match is made for War Games. J.J. Dillon makes a stipulation that if the Horsemen win, Hogan gets one more shot at Brett's title. The Horsemen get the win after Hennig is pinned by Chris Benoit, so nice little play on there because you know how that was originally supposed to go.
Correct.
So it will be Brett versus Hogan one more time at Halloween Havoc. At Halloween Havoc, Steiners lose the tag titles to Kurt Hennig and Dean Malenko. So they lose them to the Horsemen. In the main event, Hogan shows up in the red and yellow to face Brett.
And so what month? And what month is this?
We're October 1998.
We're in October 98,
which also means no fucking Warrior in 98 at all. That is scrapped and dead. Yeah. Goldberg's random winning of the world title on Nitro is done. It's going to actually have a build to it at this in my version here. But Brett ends up winning again due to Eric Bischoff's interference. So the next night on Nitro, Hogan comes out and says that he wants to face Bischoff for all the pain that he's caused him over the past year. Bischoff agrees to the match, but only if Hogan can beat both Steiners in a handicap match of World War III. World War III, that does happen. Hogan beats the Steiners. Goldberg wins the 60-man Battle Royal. So at Starrcade, you have Hogan versus Bischoff and Brett versus Goldberg. At Starrcade, Hogan beats Bischoff. Goldberg beats Brett while also fighting off the interference from the Foundation. And that's how I have 98 ending.
So you have 98 ending with Hulk Hogan returning as the red and yellow. And
yes.
and I spoke to you about this, and you are very confident that it would work.
Well, you have to suspend disbelief.
Right.
Yeah. But if you have that going against this Monday night Raw, you can have back and forth weeks. You could have had two great wrestling shows on at the same time.
I agree.
Not totally just one having a bad week and one having a great week. Like you'd have top tier episodes coming up.
Right.
And of course, then I think you have DDP still win the title, but he's the one who ends Goldberg's streak.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to end Goldberg's streak, you could have booked it 50 better ways than how they did it.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you there. Yeah. I think how you lay it out definitely would have worked. And let's just also be very clear. I mean, this would probably work so much better if Thunder is not a thing.
Yeah,
correct?
Thunder is not a
thing.
It's just Nitro and the pay-per-views. You know, still have WCW Saturday Night for whatever, but there's no major storylines on it. So if you don't watch it, it's not like you didn't miss anything.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. If things are booked that way and you don't have Thunder, I just can't see how both companies still don't exist.
Yeah.
I really don't see how it couldn't have coexisted. I mean, if TNA could have lasted as long as it has, or, you know, I mean, TNA, people always mention, well, I don't like mentioning them, but people always mention, well, AEW's lasted this long. It's like nobody mentions TNA.
Yeah, TNA's been on they've been on regular TV since what, 2005?
2005.
And they were doing those like...
Actually, it might have been 2002.
But they were doing like weekly pay-per-views also.
Right.
Like as their events.
It started in 2002. May, this month, actually, in 3 days, 23 years ago.
Yeah. So
TNA was founded.
Yeah. you got a way to go. But when was the first episode of Impact? That's the. I want to say that was like 2005, but even if you're still at 20 years of Impact.
First episode, it says TNA Impact was October of 2008.
Huh. I could have sworn they were on before that. But even if that's still 17 years.
That can't be right, because then this says June 4th of 2004.
You know,
no, it is TNA. So
because weren't they called NWA TNA for those shows before it became Impact?
So this says in May of 2004, TNA introduced its second weekly television program, Impact.
All right, so it already had a weekly program, but I think they were on pay-per-view, but they still existed. They were still shows.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, that's wild to me. Yeah, NWA, Total Nonstop Action from 2002 to 2004, then Total Nonstop Action Wrestling 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Man, and nobody talks about that. So if WCW would have just gotten certain things right, and I do think a big part of that was Thunder. If Thunder doesn't exist and they're able to do things a little differently, like maybe not have Hulk Hogan around that much, I do believe that it's 2025 and that company might still be around in some fashion.
Yeah. And then if you look at like your top guys who were on each show, in this version, you got Stone Cold WWF and you got Bret Hart at WCW. So they're still going head to head, but at a different level.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with you.
I just half-assedly booked a year surrounding the world title for WCW, and it was already better than to build the fucking WrestleMania. Triple H.
Dude, you're not wrong, man. And I'm proud of you for saying that. But when you look at how you just booked all of 1998, outside of Brett and Hulk being your mainstays, and your culmination, if you only got Nitro, which is at this point probably 3 hours a week, where do you have Diamond Dallas Page? Where do you have Sting? Where do you have Bill Goldberg? Where is Nash and Hall? Like where do you have all these other just mega stars that they have on these rosters?
I mean, Goldberg is still doing his streak, so that doesn't change. I mean, I got DDP with the U.S. title, and he's maybe just fighting off like mid-carders. Maybe Nash enters that since he's not with the NWO anymore and he wants to go for something else. Maybe he's in the U.S. title picture. Yeah. Like Nash is always kind of the outskirts. Maybe he gets a title shot on a Nitro or something coming up, or either way. I didn't book all the Nitros. I just wanted to get key points in. Right. But Hall right now at this juncture, he was fired for like substance abuse. So he's off TV for a while. You got Hogan off TV. I mean, these guys had guaranteed contracts. They only had to work a certain number of days. For sure. Big Lazy's going to take a little bit of time off.
Oh my God,
that's his favorite. That's his favorite pastime.
He took time off the second he signed that contract.
Yeah, his favorite pastime is downtime. This fucking guy.
Yeah,
but like
PTO is his favorite pastime.
Damn right. And like you have Sting just kind of floating around. Maybe he's feuding a little bit with Brett on Nitro, or maybe he's getting involved maybe he has a program with Kurt Hennig. Tell me that wouldn't be an interesting program?
Where do you have Flair?
Flair's off TV at this point, remember?
That's right. He is.
He's gone. He's been off because he was quote unquote fired. He's still on, but he's like in the background.
Right.
But he doesn't get let go until they mention that they're going to bring Thunder and they want him on Thunder.
Correct.
But Thunder happens in 98. So just assume Flair is still gone and doesn't come back until the Horsemen reunite in September of 98 or late August, however you want to do that.
Right.
Like I said, instead of Chris Benoit being in that group, now you have Kurt Hennig in that group because that makes a hell of a lot more sense. Not more sense than Chris Benoit. Benoit fit, but for the other stable to have a little bit more legitimacy, you add a young Chris Benoit to it as like your young, like hungry guy. The Steiners are your experienced tag team who give no fucks. Plus, you still get heel Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
Just he's with his brother, who is also heel now too. So you got Big Papa Pump and the dog face Gremlin, like those personas, but as the Steiner brothers, and you got heel Bret Hart.
Yep.
Like 97 heel Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Cocky, sure of himself, bitter over what happened to him in WWF. So he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's going to take a shot whenever he can get it.
Man, that's God, that's so interesting. Just thinking about how all of that could have unfolded and where it could have really went heading into 99, because the way you lay it out, you're staying hot all the way through 98. And all it takes, George, is 2 clean jobs by Hulk Hogan. That's all it would take. That's all it would take.
Yeah.
Brother man wouldn't have lost $1 in his paycheck, and he would have gotten back to ultimately what he wanted, which was the red and yellow, and it would have worked. It would have worked.
Yeah. You can maybe work it to where, Bischoff and Brett have this deal involved because they both hate Vince McMahon with a fiery passion, and they want that company to go down. So that can also be part of their bonding experience of why they got together.
Mm-hmm.
This is shit like that. I mean, I'm a nobody. I'm not a writer. I work at fucking Amazon. I graduated high school. I don't have a real fucking educational degree. Not by Jersey standards, but I just threw something together, and it's already sounds like better TV than what we were getting.
I agree.
And it doesn't affect the cruiserweights, so they're still doing their thing. It doesn't affect a lot of the mid card, a lot of the younger guys who are making their way up. It doesn't affect any of them.
No, it does not.
It's just main event feuds, because your main event feud is what's going to draw people into the building.
Yeah.
Once they're in the building, then you hit them with a good match, so you keep them involved and entertained.
I mean, you look at it this way. We look back in 1998-99. What was the one singular thing that WWF did so much better? Their main events.
Main event. Yeah.
They were a main event company. No one can remember 95% of the undercard from the Attitude Era.
Because here's the thing. Because if what I just did with WCW, assuming nothing at all changes with the way WWF does things, 98 was hot.
Yeah.
Especially that summer, then leading up, then Rock gets the title, Screwjob Part 2. When you get to 99 and you got Mick Foley winning the title on WWF, and you have Bret Hart still as your champion, or as Goldberg as your champion. This is probably the night or two after Starrcade. Crowd's hot. Here's Goldberg, world champion.
Yeah.
What's he going to do with it? Who's going to come out and challenge him? Where does this go from here?
Man, it's so interesting to think about.
You don't have the finger poke of doom, which effectively drove people away from that goddamn company.
Because they knew what it was. It was Hogan. Yeah. It was all Hogan.
Yeah. But but the thing is, and with this, it's where as good as this is, there's so many factors going against it. You have Hogan's not going to do any of this at all. He can't cut promos like this.
No.
Brett was just there to get a paycheck. There really wasn't much. He didn't really care. He was all right, whatever. You give him a storyline he'll sink his teeth into, and you got him.
Absolutely. I mean, for those who want to read Bret Hart's book, he basically says he didn't say no to anything. He went in, he did his job, and he went home. He admitted to collecting a paycheck and just going home. I mean, that's what he did.
But what we got in 98, the NWO just being dragged out. It's dude, we don't what do we care anymore? Why should I give a shit? It's all right, Hogan's going to come out. He's going to fucking play air guitar on the belt, and he's going to cut the same fucking heel promo that he's been cutting ever since Road Wild 96.
Yep.
It's the same thing week after week with him, but he was convinced in his mind that that's what people wanted because he was getting a reaction every week.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, this shit gets tiring. As because we've been doing this, since September.
Yeah.
Too much Hogan is exhausting.
It's a lot, dude.
It's a lot to deal with because it's the same thing every time.
And people will say, well, it was the same thing in WWF. No, it wasn't. People forget. There was no TV back then. There was only 4 pay-per-views a year. So, to see Hulk Hogan on your screen, whether it was, Superstars or Saturday Night's Main Event, It was a special attraction to see Hulk Hogan on your television screen.
Yeah.
That was able to hide a lot of him. And then once you get to WCW, man, and we've been covering it, so if everybody wants proof, just go back the last 6 months. Hulk Hogan every single week you want to drive your face through a wall.
And even that first season, or even that first year of Raw, Hogan was only there live for one episode.
Yeah, one.
So we didn't have to review '93. Thank God. I'm not going to sit through that. But it's when he gets to WCW Nitro and it's week after week, we're seeing the exposure. It's like, all right, maybe Hogan's not that good on the mic. Like,
right.
It's like, yeah, like he'll cut that one promo that'll like set your ass on fire, and you're like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Mm-hmm. Then the next week, it's that same promo again. Yeah. And so it doesn't have the same feeling. By the time you get to where we are now, it's like, dude, get to the fucking point. Like, stop repeating yourself every fifth word.
I agree, man.
Like,
I agree. Well, great job by you. I would have bought in, that's for sure, and so would millions of other people at that time.
You send it to HBK. You let them know I'm available.
You're damn right, I will.
I'll book NXT.
Yeah,
Joe
NXT
wins all titles.
All right, so that was the first part of the show. Let's move into the main event here, which is Raw versus Nitro from April 1st. 1996. We are
Fool's Day.
Yeah, damn right. We are fools for what? Yeah. By the way, Netflix.
The joke's on us.
I appreciate this being the Monday Night Raw that you put on your network. By the way, thank you for this.
Thank you.
And my apologies for wanting good episodes of Raw on your network. My
apologies for wanting anything from the Ruthless Aggression era, because it stops in March of 2001. It doesn't pick up again until 2022.
So
you're missing
brutal.
A few years there, bud.
Some great years, the best years.
Yeah.
Literally the best years. All right, so here we go. Monday Night Raw, April 1st, 1996. It's the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 12. But this is what it is. We're live from San Bernardino, California.
Well, at this point, the Raw after WrestleMania wasn't a thing.
Right. It was just another stop on the map. Yeah. The Shawn Michaels era is officially on here. Bret Hart is going away for a while to film Lonesome Dove and become a big television movie star. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, that didn't happen.
That was Tom Selleck, you fool.
That's right. I'm sorry. Your hosts are Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler. We have a pretty solid opener here. Mankind is making his debut on Monday Night Raw. I'm guessing this is why it's on Netflix. Versus Bob Holly. So, Mrs. Foley's baby boy, he's making his WWF debut. He gets the win in 4 minutes with a mandible claw. This was a case where everyone was pretty dismissive of the character beforehand. Oh, it's Cactus Jack in the WWF, big deal. Everyone kind of knew who it was,
people were chanting, he's hardcore in the audience.
I know. Yeah. But I will say, and I've said this a lot on this show in the past, I'm not a Mick Foley guy. I think he's in the top 3 of the most overrated performers of all time. But I appreciate the fan base that he has, and I appreciate everything that he did. He knocked this out of the park from the day he walked in, dude. He knocked that Mankind character out of the park.
Say what you want about how Mick Foley is between the ropes, but it was 100% every time.
Mm-hmm.
He did not phone in Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Commissioner Foley. When he was dialed in, you were getting 100% of Foley.
Yeah. And I also want to give a huge credit here. This was good booking by Vince, and also great acting by Bob Holly, getting that Alka-Seltzer in his mouth, the foam, to get that foam out the mouth to really sell the mandible claw. That was badass. I really appreciated that.
Also, I'm just going to say it here. Bob Holly, one of the best drop kicks in the business.
Absolutely. Alabama.
He hit that in 96. People are like, holy shit, what am I even staring at right here?
Right?
You're telling me this man in the mullet and the bald spot who drives a race car is going to hit a drop kick that I'm going to be telling my grandkids about?
If I mention Bob Holly to my grandkids, then I have dementia.
You are so hateful.
What I'm not hateful about is this next match. Isaac Yankem versus Wildman Johnny B. Bad. I'm sorry, Mark Marrow.
Jimmy B. Good.
Jimmy B. Good. This I don't think it was the worst thing that I've seen on this show here. I still believe the worst thing I saw was probably the Body Donnas and then Barry Horowitz, but still, man, we get a raw of debuts here. You get Mark Marrow, Sable's here. I mean, which is probably the big thing here.
She's getting proposition by Triple H at ringside.
She is very much so.
He's like, no, if I give you this money, will you just touch it a little? Probably.
Right. Marrow comes back and late in this match here with a crucifix for 2, reverse roll up for 2, and then the knockout punch puts Yankem down, and a flying sunset flip finishes it at just about 5 minutes. What was your thought here on the debut of Mark Marrow and Sable?
They gave him the wrong opponent.
Mm-hmm.
He should not have been in there with Dr. Isaac Yankem. No disrespect to Kane, who's clearly going to be so much better than this.
Oh, yeah.
Later. And Marrow could go.
Yeah.
They should have had him against somebody who like matches energy. Now, I would have had him against Bob Holly.
That would have been ideal for me, yeah.
And then you could have had Mankind defeat. I give a shit whoever else is there because it's just going to be a squash to get him over anyway. It doesn't need to be somebody substantial. Well, a fucking Bart guy, I don't care. Like it doesn't necessarily matter. But like if that was Marrow and Bob Holly, oh shit, that match.
Yeah,
we'd still be talking about it today, and for all the good reasons.
Absolutely, hands down, I agree with you.
I mean, Kane at this time, Isaac Yankem, the dude was showing promise. Like he was getting better. Like he was clearly better in the ring here than he was in all of '95.
Yeah, agree. Yeah,
probably helps when your big brother's the Undertaker.
Like real life shoot brother too.
Yeah, and his dad is real life shoot Paul Bearer.
Gotta live the gimmick, dude.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Katie Vick's burial was like a discount because of the kind of stroke that Paul Bearer's got at the funeral home. You know?
Yeah, for sure. That's so funny.
Like, listen, like, I'll cut you a deal. You know, something like that.
Here we are, the next match here. The new tag team champions, the Body Donnas versus Barry Horowitz and Aldo Montoya.
Goat tag team.
The Donnas, who are the new champs, after defeating the Godwins in a tournament final at WrestleMania 12. I mean, it was in the pre-show, but nonetheless, they are the tag champs.
None of us knew that the tag titles were ever changing hands because the last I remember, the Smoking Guns had the titles.
Yeah.
I don't know when the fucking Godwins got them to even lose them.
I know. This was something, man. Look, I should note that at this point, the combination of just shitty booking from a tag team perspective on Monday Night Raw. This was just not something I really wanted to have on the Raw after Mania. I guess it's a thank you, almost like a make good for the Body Donnas. Like, hey, you won the tag team championships on a pre-show that nobody really watched, so. We'll feature you on Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. But man, talk about like the epitome of this. This epitomized where tag team wrestling was in the WWF, does it not?
Absolutely. I mean, Aldo Montoya and Barry Horowitz are not a fucking tag team, so why are they going for the tag team titles? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to say this: as much. Like zero logic went into making this match. This match is a lot better than it fucking deserved to be.
I agree. They actually worked. Like, it worked well.
Like I'm sort of looking. I'm like, this match has no business being this good.
No,
like at all. Considering the parties involved, like it's like what are we even doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Autumn Montoya and Barry Horowitz didn't get an entrance.
Right.
And actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, neither did Isaac Yankem or Bob Holly. They were just in the ring already.
Well, we get the brand new WWF champion here, though. HBK joins us all on the screen as the new WWF champion for the first time. He's going to have to wrestle Jerry the King Lawler next week and then Diesel at the next pay-per-view. You have Sean's use of the click here for his fan base is about as forced, I think, and obnoxious as WWE Universe today.
Just
and
forcing it down everyone's throat every 5 minutes. The click, 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 which is the sound that Kevin Nash's knees make right now. Thank you, CM Punk, for that one.
Right. I just felt like this was a kind of a bland start for HBK as champion. What says you? White meat face Shawn Michaels does not work. It does not.
It never did.
Nope.
Pandering to the crowd.
Yeah, that's
I'm going to wear this belt with honor. Brett, you really are. Like, I don't want you to be heel, but I also don't want you to be Hogan. You don't need to do that. Like,
no, you don't need to lower yourself.
But the problem is, this is Vince's fucking logic. This is his idea of what a face champion should be. Oh, shucks, I'm going to give 110%, and I'm going to go to bed at 8 o'clock every night and not take a handful of somas before I go to sleep. Like this is with Sean's like natural charisma. It felt forced. Like when Diesel was doing it, it feels forced. It doesn't feel genuine coming out of him. Even with Brett, it's like there was at least something behind Brett when he was saying it to where, I believe that Brett is, doing this for his dad and wants Owen to have an unhappy new year and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work with Sean. It never did. And the ratings showed it.
It did. Absolutely. It's just that's not who he is.
Yeah. Sean
if you want to be more reality
based. A heel.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. The worst thing that could have happened in HBK's white meat babyface run is, no disrespect, but Jose Lothario being involved ruined that immensely.
There was no need for him.
Oh my God, it was so bad. That was all Vince, man. That was so bad.
I don't get it. Like, he didn't do anything.
He doesn't talk.
Yeah, like the only thing I legitimately remember about Jose Lothario is Sid beating the shit out of him and beating the shit out of his son before Royal Rumble 97 to set up that match. Mm-hmm. Like, that's all I remember. It's like, oh, he beat up Jose Lothario. Oh, he beat up Pete Lothario, Jose's son who's training, blah, blah. It's like, and I'm like, okay, but why should I give a shit? Because he's coming out to the ring with Sean? He ain't speaking. Yeah. Sean doesn't need a manager.
No, he doesn't need a mouthpiece.
He already had Sherry. And Sherry already, Sherry did what she could do as a manager for him to get him to that level. Once he got to that level, he didn't need a mouthpiece anymore. He just needs a bodyguard. Because the Authority is not a bodyguard.
Correct. Totally agree with you.
A 65-year-old man is not guarding anything except maybe a Social Security check. He's like, no, this is mine. This is mine.
Oh, man. We get to the main event here. Undertaker versus a very young JBL, or at this time, Justin Hawk Bradshaw. This is basically baby JBL. It's like, Undertaker. This was pretty big for Taker, man, because you get Mankind. This is the first that we see Mankind and Undertaker. And this was big because this might have been literally the rivalry of the year.
Yeah.
For the WWF, for sure. Taker, puts away Bradshaw with a chokeslam and tombstone, just about 6.5 minutes. Mankind runs in, attacks Taker. Mankind just destroys him, like dropping the cactus elbow off the apron, putting him out with the mandible claw. Dude, like, this didn't happen to The Undertaker in 1996.
Not by somebody the size of Mick Foley.
No, not at all, man.
This was new territory. This is actually, all right, let's see where this goes. This isn't like Diesel or fucking Giant Gonzalez with the chloroform rag.
Yeah.
Like, this is
human
guy who's he's a human being.
Yeah.
Sort of. But I mean, it's mankind, so he's not really human.
Right. This humanizes Undertaker. It gives him something to overcome. It gives him something to fight for. You know what I mean? It's something that wasn't just goofy heel steals the urn and something magic powers over and over again. So this was awesome. Like this.
Now there's 3 Undertakers. What's going on here?
I know. I will say overall, though, this is a pretty historic Monday Night Raw post WrestleMania show. But nonetheless, I mean, hopefully it doesn't turn into dog shit again for a while. I'm just joking. We all know it does. But I'm just saying, in one show, we get the debut of Mankind, Mick Foley, Sable, and Mark Mero, more importantly, Sable. And then you get the beginning of Mankind and Undertaker. That's a pretty big deal, man.
Not even like feud of the year, but this is this is like an all-time great rivalry too.
For sure.
I mean, it doesn't just end in 96. This goes all the way up to fucking King of the Ring 98, So it's like there's substance to this. This is a feud that's going to have legs that we know. And also, I mean, to be said, he interfered and he did it. Mankind did interfere in the match, so it wasn't a clean pinfall. So Justin Hawk Bradshaw's undefeated streak still kind of technically exists. Mm-hmm. He didn't get pinned. It was just a DQ. But I mean, obviously we know like what a bright future he's going to have, but man, like it was like Vince like stepped into shit and he didn't realize it by like not releasing him ever.
Yeah, I think that's I think he fell into something here with Taker and Mankind. I don't think Vince had any idea this was going to turn into what it turned into. I don't know if he didn't believe in Mick Foley, or he maybe didn't believe in the character, or maybe he was using Mick as a way to get something else out of Undertaker to go a different avenue. Either or, it was pretty brilliant to pair them together because it's completely opposite styles, completely opposite personas. So I thought this was just a great and a great idea from the booking committee and the creative team for WWF. But why do you think they were paired together right away?
I mean, it's similar. I don't want to say similar gimmicks because they're really not, but they're darker gimmicks that kind of go a little better. So we got, we got those vignettes of Mankind. He's a little deranged. He's talking to himself. He's got a pet rat. He wears a mask. He's in the shadows. Undertaker, he's in the shadows. He's the dead man. So like, it only makes sense that they would come together.
Yeah.
And thankfully this was rushed because if you would have had just like a couple weeks of Mankind winning squash matches, I mean, it's not really going to do much.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I was also thinking Mark Mero could have also faced Savio Vega or Steve Austin. They're on the fucking schedule, but they're not in this. They're not on the show.
Yeah, man, very interesting. But hey, still very historic Monday Night Raw. I'm super happy with this. I'm not sure there's a way WCW can beat this.
I'm not going to say this was the best episode of Raw, but
sure.
Perspective-wise and storyline-wise, like it was like it's like all right because it's one of those things where, like we said when it did with Shawn when he collapsed in the ring and it's kind of ended like that. Like that's kind of what we had here.
Yeah.
With Taker and Mankind. It's like all right, it makes you want to tune in the next week and see what's going to happen.
Absolutely does. I mean, and that's a big deal.
And isn't that essentially the basis of the television show? To keep you in, to make sure that you want to tune in May 8th on Peacock and watch season 2 of Poker Face.
You're damn right. Tomorrow, baby.
Cheap plug. But if the show is good and the episode is good, it makes us want to tune in the next week on May 15th on Peacock to see the next episode because it's not being released all at once. It's going to be weekly. It's a good show. But that's it. I mean, that's the base of TV is that you keep them wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
And I want more of what they're doing here.
Good soup. Good soup. All right, let's move over to Monday Night Nitro on TNT. This is live from somewhere. I don't even know if it meant. I didn't even get a mention where it was live from.
The
Cleveland.
The Cow Palace. It's always the Cow Palace.
I'm sorry. This was from Cleveland. I wrote it at the bottom here. It's from Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm sure a young Miz was somewhere in the audience. Maybe even a young Dolph Ziggler as well. But
shitting in his hands and rubbing on his face.
We got a pretty hot opener here, I guess you could say.
Sure we do. Let's go.
Sting versus the Giant. I mean, apparently this was supposed to be, from my research, this was supposed to be Sting and the Giant versus the Harlem Heat. But Jimmy Hart paid off the Heat to leave and then paid off the Giant to attack Sting instead. But I didn't know Hogan was paying Jimmy Hart this much.
But we don't get this. They don't tell us this. It just starts off Giant and Sting are in the ring, and then they start fighting. We don't know. Exposition Bischoff is telling us everything. This was supposed to be, and this match was set up on Saturday night. Yeah, shut the fuck up. What am I staring at right now?
So angry.
Why is this a jump start? Ooh, what a hot feud. The Giant and Sting. Go get my popcorn.
Don't you dare disgrace the good goddamn nature of this rivalry.
Excuse me. It's right up there with Austin McMahon.
Damn right it is.
My mistake.
Giant tosses Sting out of the ring, tries a choke slam from the apron. Sting comes back with a dropkick to the floor. Lex Luger runs in for the DQ as backup. So I guess it's a babyface turn off for the Giant. But last week seemed like a pretty clear babyface turn to me.
It was like nothing happened at all the previous week, and we're just starting. We're going to ignore last week's Nitro, and we're going to act like Uncensored was last night. I feel like is where we're going with this.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely where we're going with this. I mean, again, this is just like with Lex Luger, dude. The company had no clue what to do with the Giant. No clue. And it just boggles my mind. WWE didn't know what to do with him either. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like WWE did anything better with the Giant.
But somehow did, even though they didn't do anything. It's like they did nothing with the Big Show for 20 years, but yet somehow did something with him.
Yeah, it's a shame because he's one of those guys where I look back now, and I've heard JR even say it numerous times that he admitted that they completely messed him up. I mean, he should have been a bona fide attraction where you see him maybe 4 times a year because he was special, dude. Like you and I have said this before, some of these matches he had in 95 and 96, I mean, he was a genetic absolute mutant, this guy. And it's a shame.
I mean, it's good. I mean, when he did get over to WWF, he was actually able to work with somebody his height who actually could help him with the proper way. You got Darky Mark there. You got Kane. They're going to be like, all right, as a big man, you should be doing this. Or don't do this bump or fall this way. It's going to help you longer. There was no tall people. Who's he going to learn from? Fucking the Yeti? What the hell does he know?
Yeah.
It's fucking dummy. So, I mean, even though he had a couple good storylines. Once they kind of let him loose on the mic, the dude could kind of roll. So you get a promo out of him. He's an all around, good performer.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's a shame he went over to that other fucking dumpster fire because he could be, I mean, not on TV. Dear God, no. I don't need him wrestling fucking Seth Rollins.
No.
Or anybody. Or Braun Breaker hitting him with a spear and turning him to dust.
Yeah.
But you put him into Performance Center. You have him helping the next generation of big guys.
Yeah.
Who are just tall and they don't know what they're doing. Well, hey, here's probably the greatest 7-foot wrestler of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to what he has to say.
Totally agree.
He could be working with younger talent. There's no fucking way he's working with anybody. Even if he is working with younger talent in AEW, everybody in AEW is like 6'2" and shorter. Like Bobby Lashley stands out and he's like 6'5". It's weird. And Shelton. Like they look like literal giants compared to that entire roster. I'm not like shitting on the roster like I normally do, but it's when you look at it, it's like there's a disparaging difference. It's like when I was watching Nitro and not Nitro. When I was watching NXT last night, and Jordan Grace is cutting a promo in the back with a reporter, and then like Lash Legend comes up and stands next to her, and she's like another 1.5 feet taller than Jordan Grace. It's like that's what like Bobby Lashley looks like standing next to like MJF.
You ain't lying, man.
Shit, even MVP.
Yeah. All right, so that was what we got started here. Let's actually start the program with your hosts, Eric Bischoff, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Steve Mago McMichael.
Guess it's not an official episode if they ain't
I know
giving us the rundown and Mongo's drooling into the microphone.
And I will say, this match coming up, pretty badass. I mean, you talk about star power. Steiners versus the Road Warriors versus the Nasty Boys. This is just an all-out, just three dude, six dudes just said, you know what? Let's just go out and work as stiff as possible, and we'll get to a finish. Dude, how about this one? 15 minutes, a weird finish. Johnny Grunge runs in, as Knobs and lays down for Scott at 15 minutes. Very weird. But from this, Bischoff concludes a Public Enemy were the ones to attack the Nasties. Not sure I agree 100% with that detective work, but, the match was weird and disjointed, but it was well before they were common anyway. So this was fine for the time period here. I actually really enjoyed this. This was fun. The crowd was red hot.
It was a good match. Yeah. I didn't understand a single fucking thing that was going on, but I didn't need to.
Right.
We got six big guys laying fucking potatoes into each other. And then all of a sudden Public Enemy comes out and takes a shit on my cheesecake. It's like, oh, good. Because that's just what this needed. Another team of big guys, except these ones are the ones who don't know how to work at all.
Yeah.
But this match alone already shows why WCW's tag team division is so much more superior than what WWF is limping to the table with.
I know.
They didn't have like three legitimate tag teams in WWF.
Yeah, this was a struggle for sure from a WWF standpoint. Yeah, this exposed that, definitely. I agree with you. All right, let's moving forward here. This is why we all come here to do this. Just letting you all know. Hulk Hogan and the Booty Man, which automatically just sets George off, versus Kevin Sullivan and Arn Anderson. I feel like we've literally watched the same match for a month straight now. So obviously this program must continue. This is
we're like 3 months in on this. I'm so fucking exhausted.
I know. We get in the ring here. Booty Man slams Sullivan off the top. Hogan comes in to double team the heels by himself, of course, but Booty ruins his plans by getting caught in the corner.
Sounds about right.
Why can't everyone just let Hogan do everything himself? Just let it do it. Just let him do it. The heels work Booty over, and Arn stomps away while Booty twitches like he's going into shock. Thankfully, thank God he makes the hot tag giggity to Hulk Hogan, who indeed, of course, destroys everybody in the world, including all, 12,000 people in the arena. Doesn't really matter. He's Hogan. We get the stupidest finish of the entire week as both Hogan and Sullivan get women's shoes from ringside, and Hogan uses his first for the pin. How is any heel ever supposed to get heat on Hogan if he beats every fucking body every week? Afterwards, Hogan and Booty Man are angry at the heels, and they've got a plan. They've got a plan to get their final revenge next week. After they've beaten the heels.
What is this revenge? You're constantly winning. There is no revenge anymore. At this point now, it's bullying. You're the fucking antagonist.
Yeah.
Leave these people alone. But it was the whole thing of like Kevin, and this was a bad match too. This was poorly fucking done. Like,
by the way, the crowd was booing the entire time.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan pushed Booty Man into the hot tag because he had his hands on him. Then like he wasn't. He was just like shoving the rest away. It's like, really, like, what am I staring at right now? Yeah. Like you easily could have stopped that. And you know, the woman gets her shoe because we haven't seen enough of this high heel shoe nonsense. But then the Booty Babe, because we fucking need this shit, she pulls off her flat top heel and hands it. And then like Liz and woman go to like get in her face after the match, and Booty Man runs in to protect Kimberly. And then she plants a kiss on him in the ring, and he starts getting a fucking boner because it's the most action he's ever had, and starts having a goddamn heart attack. And then like he goes back, and then they go to leave, like it's over. And then he goes back in the ring to get the shoe, and then Kevin Sullivan and Arn Anderson beat him down. And Bischoff is acting like, I can't believe these heels would do this. It's like, dude, your dude just fucking won this match with the exact same tactic that the other team was going to do.
Yeah.
Like you scum shit. I mean, but I get it. He's a face announcer. But even Heenan as the heel announcer, he should have been pointing that out. But you're not going to point that out against Hulk Hogan.
No,
not against
why
Hogan,
would you?
You're not.
Yeah.
No fucking way. And then they get angry because like that happened. Then Booty Man's like, "Oh, I've got an idea for him. I'm not going to tell you, but I've got an idea." It's like, okay, like what stupid thing did you come up with while you like had your hand in your pants? You're like, I came up with a great idea for a match.
Let me get your weed out of my ass, brother.
Yeah. Let me carry your bags to the car and I'll tell you about it. If you let me speak to you in public and look you in the eye.
If you let me speak to you in public. We get a WCW World Title match here for the main event: Ric Flair versus Lex Luger. Because Luger is now suddenly full babyface.
I don't know what's happening right now with Lex Luger,
dude. I'm increasingly confused by this completely. Lex during the match here, of course, overpowers Flair. We get the usual 15 press slams from Flair and Lex. It's just so annoying. Flair goes up, gets slammed off, and Luger clotheslines into the floor. They do the exact same match 300 times, these two.
It's a by the numbers Flair Lex Luger match. Like, all right, let's make sure we hit all of our spots.
So tough, man. Flair goes up and Lex reverses him into a suplex, but now woman goes for the new stupid finish award by throwing a cup of hot coffee at Lex.
You can tell it's hot because you can see the steam coming off of it. It says Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Liquid shit. That's what it is.
It's probably nothing at all.
Yeah, allowing Flair to retain at 11 minutes. Dude, women's shoes, hot coffee in the eye on the same friggin' show.
It's like secretaries are giving them all the tools to succeed.
Yeah.
Use my shoe. Here's the coffee I was going to get you. I spit in it because I hate you.
Yeah, this was clearly two guys that were going through the motions. Let's just get to this dumb finish and let's get out of here.
Because there wasn't much of a build for it. So it's like, all right, well, why should we care? All right, well, we got a title match on TV. That's cool, but why am I invested in this?
Yeah. I mean, part of the charm of early Nitros was that mixture of styles and guys, which we're going to get to as Nitro continues. I mean, these cruiserweights are really that mid-card and undercard is really going to start becoming great for Nitro. But at this time, man, this was literally all the same old dudes doing the same old crap, nothing to break it up every single week. We have way too much Woman and Liz, way too much Hogan, too much Luger.
Too much Booty Man, too much.
Yes.
We
too
don't
much
have
Horsemen.
You know what we don't have? No, it's not even Horsemen. It's just the same two. Where the fuck is Chris Benoit?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where's Eddie Guerrero? Where's Disco Inferno? Where's Alex Wright? Where's Ming? Where are any of these people? Yeah. Why am I seeing the same 6 people or like the same 10 people every fucking week? And we got that great tag match with the Road Warrior Steiners and Nasty Boys, but it's like I see them on TV all the time and they're not even tag team champions.
Yeah. I know. And, not to mention all 3 matches were all screwy finishes. Not one clean finish on a 1 hour show.
And this is what pisses me off about this episode of Nitro. Last week's episode of Nitro ended hot.
Yeah, very much so.
The Giant, oh shit, like he turned face against like the Dungeon.
Yeah.
What are the repercussions going to be, for Kevin Sullivan?
Mm-hmm.
Or like Arn Anderson, now like the Giant's angry, he's loose. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
Well, he's going to apparently get paid off by Jimmy Hart to beat up Sting for some fucking reason. And we just dropped that. And we just dropped that where it is.
Yeah, that's all. Just drop it.
Yeah. It's like, hey, this was hot, but then, oh, you know what? Fuck. I just realized. You know why?
Why?
Hogan came back this week.
Oh, that's right.
He probably looked
I forgot last week there was no Hogan.
He probably looked at the script, did his fucking Fu Manchu, that doesn't work for me, and then it altered the entire show. Guarantee fucking say
it. I will say it completely slipped my mind that last week was so good because we didn't have Hulk last week.
And yeah, it's possible he didn't do anything with the card and it was just how it was actually booked. But we know how this dude does things.
Mm-hmm.
We're aware he has a creative control card.
Yeah.
We're aware it's been leaked several times that this man would go in and adjust a card the day of.
Yeah.
So if you got somebody like, as an example, you got somebody like Billy Kidman who's getting ready for what he thinks he's going to do. All right, I'm going to have a match against Juventud Guerrera for 15 minutes, and the winner is the number one contender for the Cruiserweight title. Like, all right, I'm prepped for that. Hoovy and I have gone over the match. And then this jerk-off strolls in at 6:30 on a Monday, looks at it and just goes, we're going to do an NWO segment here, and scratches that match.
You're right.
So now, like what?
Yep.
You built all that up for nothing. So now Billy Kidman and Hoovy don't get any TV time.
None.
Because we got to have Hogan to go out there and do the same NWO promo that he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And Robin's going to be out there wearing the belt, doing fucking bullshit. It will lead to nothing. Nobody will come out. It'll be 15 minutes of your life that you will never get back.
Mm-hmm. Look, I get to this point. Yes, I know it gets even worse on Nitro, guys. Trust us, it gets worse than this. But, hopefully we find a way to power through these next 2 months to, really get to the just incredible stuff. But it gets bad. I mean, it's really bad. It's hard to watch. I mean, when I'm watching these at home, I'm enjoying them. I'm engaged because it's like the first time I'm really watching them start to finish for the first time in 29 years. But man, when you get to the end of each of these shows and I'm sitting here and I'm writing down my notes for the shows, I'm like, man, like it's so tiring seeing Hulk Hogan. Like it really, but it's also not just Hogan. It's the inability to have a clear direction for guys like the Giant, Sting, Luger, even Flair and the Horsemen. There's no clear direction for anyone except Hogan. That's it. When Eric Bischoff showed up to work every Monday, the only thing he cared about was, all right, cool. What do we have in store for Hulk tonight?
Yeah.
That's it. And that was such a huge issue with these shows.
But then on the other side, like you got Hogan. It's like, all right, well, we're going to do something. And Hogan, it's like, it's almost like, all right, Terry, who do you want to work with this week? Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, well, let's do a tag match. Let's do me and Brother Brutai against Arn and Kev. Well, why not?
Yeah. Like, it's hard.
This is a feud that should have ended at the Doomsday Cage with the alliance to end Hulkamania. You didn't end Hulkamania, so there shouldn't be an alliance anymore. It's over.
Agreed.
And this never gets a legitimate ending. It eventually just kind of peters out.
It does. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
The Doomsday Cage would have been an ending.
Yeah, it would have. Just ridiculous, dude. All right, so I think it's pretty clear, man, where we are on the two shows. I think hands down, Monday Night Raw topples Monday Nitro, correct?
Yeah. I'll give that. I mean, the matches weren't great, but we got some debuts. We got a Mankind Undertaker storyline. We know that we're going to have Shawn Michaels in action next week. So, there's something to look forward to for the next week of Raw,
Yeah.
which is great because that episode of Raw is unopposed.
That's right.
Nitro does not have an episode next week, which honestly, it's probably for the best.
So what will we be covering next week? We'll be covering Raw and what show?
That's a good question. Well, we got
Uncensored 96?
I guess we can do that.
I mean, WrestleMania 12 was horrible, so we might as well do Uncensored 96.
I mean, I was gonna say like good friends, better enemies.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Comes up.
Yeah, we could do that. That's a great idea because that was a really good show. I mean, the main event was awesome, so I think that's a good idea to do that. So yeah, we'll do good friend in your house, good friends, better enemies, and Monday Night Raw next week. Next week's Raw drew a 4.7. This week's show though, Raw won 2.9 to 2.8. So really, it was kind of evened out there. So yeah. But yeah, to us, Monday Night Raw gets the win. I in my opinion, pretty easily. But still, both shows weren't great. But when you have the debuts of Sable, Mankind, then you debut basically the rivalry of Mankind and Undertaker, that's gonna probably tip the scales for me.
Yeah, and then and then over on Nitro, you give us that really good triangle tag team match, and then you suck all the wind out of our sails by giving us Hogan and the Booty Man against Arn and Kevin Sullivan for the 400th time.
Yeah. Yep. But all right, George, Multiverse Movie Podcast. What do you guys got coming up?
We just recorded today. It might be up by now. Maybe it's up tomorrow because Dean is going on vacation, so we had to get it out a little early this week. The newest entry to the MCU, Thunderbolts. We both saw that over the weekend. We both enjoyed it, and we got the review, and the review is up. And there's a rant in the beginning because there's always a rant. It's what we do.
What's the rant about?
It's about the movie industry.
Oh, I can't wait. I love
it's more it's more or less about how they want movies to be made in America, but we're like, no, they need to be made elsewhere because if movies are shot on location, like Mission Impossible, like James Bond, I don't think a James Bond movie should be shot in America. I feel like it's sacrilege unless he's going to Vegas or he's going to Florida or something along that. But Bond should always be out and about. And if you're going to be in a studio, Bond should be shot in Pinewood. Pinewood's you'll agree. Pinewood is legendary.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Mission Impossible, that should always be on location. So if these movies go on location, if this tariff that goes in that Trump wants to put in, that's going to double the production budget.
For sure.
It's not going to make any money.
No.
Like we talk about Avengers Doomsday is filming overseas also. It's going to have a $500 million budget because they're doing Secret Wars back to back.
That's right.
So it's a budget for 2 movies. So if the tariff goes into effect on that movie is going to cost $1 billion to make. How do you make that money back? You definitely can't make it.
You just don't.
Or is that something where, all right, we got to make these movies back. Let's jack the ticket prices up. Like, sorry, well, I don't want to pay $30 to go see a movie. So I won't see it. And then the movie industry suffers. And we have just YouTube and reruns. Yeah.
So the show's not up yet. So hopefully it's up very, very soon.
He's getting ready he's getting ready to go to Florida. So he'll probably post it either like when he's in Florida or just before he leaves.
But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. If you're watching live on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, ring the bell for notifications when we're going to go live. We will be back here next week with a twofer. There's no Monday Nitro next week. So we are going again to cover Monday Night Raw for next week, which was live, unopposed. And we will be covering In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies. For those of you who don't know, that was main evented by the last matchup and appearance on WWF pay-per-view from Diesel going up against the world WWF champion, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. It was a banger, and we're going to talk about it and looking forward to it.
I guess no. Never mind. So I guess that's also the last time that Shawn Michaels and Diesel face off. But no, they have a couple matches after.
Well, it's the last one-on-one matchup.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's definitely the last one-on-one matchup. So yeah, we'll be back here next week with that. So thank you guys so very much. This is the Hot Tag Wrestling Show, and we'll catch you guys down the road. Have a great one, everybody. Take care.